Hello everyone and welcome to another Keep Safe on the Net video on YouTube. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, it makes me feel loved and wanted. For some time now I've wanted to make a video about the romance scammers that hang about on social media. So I was very excited when a friend request from this profile popped into my inbox just a few days ago. I knew instantly that it was a scam, the giveaway being that the profile photo is of a serving soldier sending a friend request to a woman that he's never even chatted to. So I knew what was going to happen, but I wanted to see how long it would be before he started asking me for money. And as you'll see, it didn't take him very long. He started chatting to me on Facebook, but very quickly suggested that we change to using Hangouts instead. I was happy to oblige, as my online alter ego Annie has a Gmail account. As you can see from this screenshot, he first contacted me on a Monday night, and by Tuesday he was asking me for my photograph. He gave me the usual story about being divorced and having a young child. Be careful if you're contacted by one of these scammers. They all tell a similar story. Their wife has either died or left them, and they all have young children that they can't be with. By Tuesday evening, he was telling me he loved me, that I was his future wife, and taking a curious interest in the amount of money that I was earning. Annie then started looking at houses that they could buy together, and found her dream home beside a river. One of the scam baiters that I follow on YouTube is called Pleasant Green. I'll try and remember to put a link to his channel in the description box below. Thanks to Pleasant Green, I learnt about Grabify.link. This is a website where you can create a link to a real internet web page, but when the recipient clicks on the link, you can see information about them, such as where they're accessing the internet from. And do you want to guess where our serving soldier in Iraq was really accessing the internet from? Abeokuta in Nigeria. By Tuesday night, he'd said that he loved the house and started asking me about money again. By Wednesday morning, he was declaring his undying love for me, and then after I'd asked him if he had enough money to pay for half of the house, started telling me that he didn't have access to his bank account. Then on Wednesday evening, he said, "My darling, I have a question for you. If I need help from you financially, will you send me any money to do what I want to do with it over here?" Being a kind-hearted soul, Annie said that of course she would help him out. All he needed to do was to ask. So he did. He asked Annie if she used PayPal. And Annie replied that of course she used PayPal and she thought it was much safer than using online banking. And if you're wondering why I was sitting at home on Christmas Eve winding up a scammer, well, like a lot of people, my Christmas plans were completely ruined when our Prime Minister announced that we weren't allowed to travel for Christmas. So instead of being with my family as planned, I stayed at home. He asked me if I could send him money through PayPal to pay for his connection, because he said if he didn't pay for it, he wouldn't be able to come online. So he asked if I could send him $300, but did say that if that was too much, I could send him $200 or $250. Annie said she was happy to send him $300 as a Christmas present, and said he should buy something nice for Lily. That's the name of the daughter that he claimed to have back in the United States. Then, for some reason that I never did quite understand, he said that I had to pay him within 25 minutes, and unsurprisingly wanted a screenshot of the payment. So he sent me the email address to use for the PayPal payment and reminded me that I had to pay him within 25 minutes. Oh dear, Annie got distracted and somehow didn't manage to make the payment within 25 minutes. Our scammer wasn't happy about that. He accused Annie of wasting time and told her that she mustn't use that PayPal email again. Annie told him that a PayPal email address that self-destructed in 25 minutes was silly and asked him for a real email address that she could send money to. It took him quite a while to reply, I guess while he was setting up a new Gmail address. He continued declaring his undying love for Annie, who by then had decided to ignore him, because Annie, as in me, had better things to do, because although I stayed at home for Christmas Day, I did actually join my neighbours, so I went off to do some cooking. When I turned the computer on the evening of Christmas Day, I'd missed a flurry of messages from him, including a photograph of this gorgeous hunk, and a missed call. Then on the evening of Christmas Day, he created a new account on Facebook and sent me a friend request. But he got a bit confused because he used the same name for the new account on Facebook as he'd been using on Hangouts. So the new account on Facebook explained to me that he was a colleague of the person I'd been talking to on Hangouts and just happened to have the same name, and told me how hurt his friend was that I'd stopped talking to him. Ah. Meanwhile, back on Hangouts, the scammer messaged to say that a colleague of his in another country had messaged me. He said he thinks he's in an African country on deployment, so I sent him the screenshot from Gravify.link. And the scammer said, "I don't know anything about this location you're talking about." There's a little addendum to this video, and you'll see that not knowing where you are is apparently a common trait amongst Nigerian scammers. So please be careful online, guys. If a random person contacts you claiming to be a serving soldier, they're almost always scammers. They will ask you for money, and the more money you send them, the more money they will ask for. The same thing happens on dating websites. I know because on the main Keep Safe on the Net blog over the years, several people have written to tell me how they've fallen prey to these scammers and sent them money. Sometimes it seems almost unbelievable, but when someone signs up to a dating website looking for a relationship, they automatically become vulnerable because they're looking for a relationship and they're looking for someone who will say nice things to them, be kind to them, promise to send them gifts and say they want to marry them. So if you know anyone that's joined a dating website and may be vulnerable, please make sure that they know that if the person that they're dating starts asking them for money, they're a scammer. Please try to stop them sending money, and I do know that that isn't always easy. And now for the addendum that I promised you. Just a few days later, Annie received an email from Edwin Cooker saying he was sorry that it had been a while, but he'd been sick, and asking if she'd marry him. Annie replied that it was very sweet of him to propose marriage, but she had no idea who he was, and she did like to get to know a man before she married him. Annie told this scammer that she was high maintenance and that she fancied a house with an indoor swimming pool, a jacuzzi and a cocktail bar. The scammer then sent a flurry of messages which didn't really seem to make much sense. And then I, as in Annie, pulled the same trick on him as I'd done on the previous scammer and sent him a link to a house with a swimming pool so that I could see where he was accessing the internet from. Lagos in Nigeria. I'd kind of worked out by then that the scammer that I was talking to this time was probably just a young kid, because he really didn't seem to have very much idea of what he was doing. Clearly he'd heard about the idea that a scammer should ask potential victims for some money so that they can access a larger fund, so he told me that he needed $1,000 to access his fund of $30,000. Actually, this was when I realised I was probably talking to a kid, because the figures and the numbers that he was coming up with just didn't really make any sense. I'd just sent him a link to a house that cost £700,000, and he was telling me that he had £30,000 and could therefore afford to buy half of the house. It was clear that he really didn't have any idea about money. When I continued to ask him how he was going to earn a living when he came to the UK, he told me that he was an engineer working on road construction. So I said, "Road construction in Lagos, I assume." To which his reply was, "Where is Lagos?" So I said it seemed odd that so many people who lived there didn't seem to know where it was, and then rather unkindly, because I thought I was talking to a kid, asked, "Don't they teach you geography in school?" I never heard from him again. I hope you found this video useful. Please share it with anyone that you think might be a potential victim of a romance scammer, and I'll see you again in another Keep Safe on the Net video on YouTube.